My husband wants kids. Me, F26, and my husband, M26, have been together for 9 years, married almost 5. We had the conversation many times before getting married that we were never having kids. He was a major hard no. I have never had a huge desire to have children, so I was okay with it. Since we mutually made the decision so long ago, I completely wrote off having kids. However, ever since our niece was born, his sister's child, over a year ago, he has been making small comments about me being pregnant, us having a baby, etc. now to the point where he will say to people, "Can you believe she won't give me a baby?" I just got people to stop badgering me about having kids, and now with his newfound baby fever, it's started back again, not only with him, but also everyone else. I have reminded him many times that we decided we weren't having kids, and he always either says that was when I had a bad relationship with my dad, or "but you would be the most amazing mother, it's starting to get old." I have so much anxiety over the thought of having a kid. I will continue to love other children, but I will also continue to love sending them home. I abandoned my family because my daughter knew about my wife affair for money. I will keep this as short as possible, but basically I'm a 43M. I got my childhood sweetheart 43F pregnant and had my daughter 25F. She was considered a miracle child because the pregnancy was that difficult for my wife that she was never able to have kids again, which sucked, but it worked out perfectly in the end. My daughter was incredible. Now 2023 comes, my wife cheated on me with a friend of hers, which I discovered by signing into her Facebook. Invasion of privacy, I know, but curiosity struck, and I'm saying this out of pure hatred, but he was an ugly bee, but he had one thing: money. I immediately called my daughter and persuaded her to come to our house as it was urgent, and she was quite nervous, which was quite strange, but now looking back, I'm assuming my wife found out I knew about the affair somehow, some way, and told her. She arrives at our house and I confronted my wife and she didn't deny anything, heartless in fact, and she scolded me for having no affection, lacking intimacy, and to be honest, she was right, but I was trying to achieve our goal, early retirement. My daughter could have kept quiet, but she scolded my wife for cheating and called her a W, and while she isn't wrong, it caused my wife to expose her. My wife stated that she's had an affair since the pandemic ended, and my daughter discovered, and AP gave her lots of money to keep her quiet. She tried apologizing, but it wasn't enough. I was heartbroken. My daughter meant everything to me and my wife, and they destroyed me. So I just left the house, waited for nightfall, ignored every phone call from my daughter, and came back, packed up my clothes and left. I expected my wife to be home, but she went out, probably to be with AP. Now while I have lost my family, I still have my wife's share of our early retirement, which she can't get her hands on, so I now have lots of money to splash, and I guess I can try and start all over. I have also blocked my daughter and my wife. I don't want any association with them. My husband went to another country right before I gave birth without telling me. I, 29F, got married to my husband, 30M, 2 years ago. Well, I found out I was pregnant almost 9 months ago. We were so happy and excited. My pregnancy was very hard. I had morning sickness, extreme mood swings, and the baby was a real kicker. Well, that caused a lot of problems between us. We fought and he ended up sleeping on the couch. 2 weeks ago was his breaking point, and he yelled at me saying, "You're being such an asshole. I can't take this anymore," and that was that he packed up all his stuff and told me he was going to stay at a friend's house. Well, I cried, I won't lie. That broke my heart. I left like that was him basically leaving me. I know he wasn't, but it felt like that. Well, I gave him a few days to cool off, and then I called him. It went straight to voicemail. So I sent him a text saying I was sorry, I wanted him to come back, and that I love him. Which was all true. I did love him, and I still do. Well, a week of me sending message after message, he finally replied saying, "I'm not sure, just give me some time." Well, then I decided to check his Facebook account. I didn't have Facebook and he knew that, but I downloaded it just to check in on if he had posted anything. When I looked him up, I was overloaded by at least 20 pictures of him in Australia. We don't live in Australia, we live in America. I called his mom and she confirmed he was in Australia, but she said he told her that I was fine with it. Well, that is when I cried for at least half an hour. The next day I asked my sister, 37F, to come over, and I explained the whole situation. Just adding in I was in estimate a week or so before going into labor. My sister was so mad, but I told her not to say anything to him, but she stayed with me. I love my sister so much, and it showed how much of an amazing sister she is when she stayed in the guest room and helped me up until a few days ago. A few days ago my water broke and my husband still wasn't back. My sister called 911 and that followed up with 6 hard hours of labor. Well, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl called Rosalind. Well, a day after I gave birth I checked in on my husband's Facebook again. Well, guess what? The day Rosalind was born he was out partying. I texted him asking if he enjoyed the party because I enjoyed going through birth without him. The second he saw the text he called me 8 times and I left him with voicemail, and it felt good, not gonna lie. Then he sent 50 texts asking if I was being serious, if I was okay, if the baby was okay, and then the kicker. He left me a voicemail crying and shouting saying he was so upset he missed out on our first baby's birth, and then he started yelling at me saying if I wasn't so mean to him then he would have met his baby girl already. I love him, I know he is being ridiculous, but I don't know what to do, please help. The woman my husband left me for is pregnant and I'm not handling it well. I am 36F, husband is 37M. My husband and I have been together for about 14 years. For the most part our marriage has been absolutely wonderful. That changed about 2 years ago. After trying for baby for years we decided to seek out a fertility clinic. After many tests it was concluded that I was the problem. I don't want to get into it but I'm unable to carry a child. It sent me into a pretty deep depression. My husband was wonderful throughout the entire thing, he gave me the space I needed to grieve and be sad. After about 3 months he brought up getting a surrogate or adoption. I lost it, and during the argument I accused him of blaming me. A couple of days later he suggested I go to therapy. Which I did. I was diagnosed with depression and put in medication. This severely impacted my libido. It's basically non-existent. He eventually sat me down and explained his needs. I told him I understood but I can't give him sex or intimacy right now. It blew up into a huge fight. I accused him of caring more about sex. He said he cares about me but I cannot expect him to go without either. In anger he said I might as well just find it somewhere else and in anger I told him to go ahead. That's where the distance between us got bad. He basically stopped trying and we pretty much stopped talking. I eventually found out that he was having an affair. When I confronted him he didn't deny it but didn't seem remorseful about it either. I told him I wanted him out and he left. A couple of days later I was served with divorce papers. Well now I'm finding out the woman he left me for, the same one he had the affair with, is pregnant. I'm not handling this well. I plan on talking to my therapist about it but I'm in a bad place right now. I just needed to vent. Thanks for listening. My daughter has befriended a girl who is dying. So, a little backstory here. We have a friend and her daughter, we'll call her A, has osteosarcoma bone cancer. I was talking with a friend, and she told me that A only has about 3 months left. I offer to help move stuff around and bring some food over. I decide to bring my daughter to keep a company. They hit it off instantly. They talked for hours and I ended up bringing my daughter over again the next day. Now about my daughter. She is sweet, sassy, and compassionate. Unfortunately, last year, she was getting bullied quite a lot. This led to self-harm and a visit to the psych ward. She is doing much better this year, but I am concerned. She doesn't half-ass her love. Like me, she dives headfirst into new relationships. She loves deeply and fully. This is where the concern comes in. A got cancer during COVID. She has not been in school since. As a result, she has lost all her friends. The very last thing I want to do is take away a dying child's only friend. I won't do it, but I am worried. I told my daughter on the way home what is going on. She understands, but like the amazing person she is, she decided to set up more play dates, gave her one of her favorite stuffed animals, and is currently working on a painting for her. She is honestly one of the best people I know. I feel really stupid worrying about my daughter when my friend is going to lose hers soon. Has anyone dealt with something similar? Any advice would be appreciated.